I'd like to call the meeting for order tonight for February 12th council meeting. You should all please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We now have the invocation from Pastor Karen Butler.
Father, in Jesus' name, we come to you tonight. We thank you for this opportunity. We thank you for this council. We ask you, Lord God, to breathe on them. We ask you tonight to remember families that may be struggling, families that may be bereaved, or whatever, that have someone who works for the city. We ask you, Lord God, to breathe on every member and every person that's come tonight with a problem, with an issue. We pray, God, that some way, somehow, answers will be found and things will be worked out. We look to you. We ask you to continue to remember every department, our policemen, everybody, Lord God, in the name of Jesus, that has anything to do with the city of Lincoln Park. Bless your people. Cover them in a day and a time where there is so much violence and chaos. We ask, Lord, that you cover the city of Lincoln Park and cover its leaders. And we ask it all in your name we pray. Amen.
Can we please have a roll call?
Councilpersons Bear,
Here.
Dupre, here. Ross, here. Salcido,
Here.
Soar,
Here.
Tobin,
Here.
and Mayor Higgins.
Here. I'm going to ask everybody to excuse me for a minute, because what I'm going to do is go off the agenda a little bit, and I'm going to ask our DPS Director, John Gazoo, to step up. Give us a report on what happened the night of the basement flooding. And anybody who would like to see his report or have a copy of it, if you'd please sign up on the white table over here on the way out, we can get you a copy of the report tonight.
Good evening, everyone. This is a tough report to give, but it's a factual report. And again, this combination rain event and snow melt-off, the city of Lincoln Park had approximately 9 days of rain. The ground was saturated, our retention basin was partially full, and we had the snow melt-off. We knew that this was coming, and we had our staff out at 11 p.m. the night before, so let's call it the 25th. And the sewer department and other staff members of the DPS were out to check the pump stations. And if and when we get any flooded basement calls, they go out and they check the manhole before and after that flooded address to see if we have a blockage in our system. And anyways, at 3:59, we received a high water alert. It was received from our Emmett Street pump station, which I'm going to refer to as EPS, identifying we had 24 feet in the wet well of the station. Subsequently, the DPS staff went to the EPS to find out that all 3 pumps were not running. The general sequence of the pumps for that particular station are pump number 1 and pump number 2 will kick on a lower level to keep the water elevation in the wet water a manageable level. Pump 1 will come on, then if the wet well continues to come up because of the combination of rainwater, pump 2 will come on. And if those 2 pumps are overwhelmed, pump 3 will come on, independent of pump 1 and 2, because we cannot have all 3 pumps running simultaneously. So anyways, the general sequence of pumps, pump number 1 and pump number 2 will kick on to the lower water elevation in the wet well. If pump 1 and pump 2 fail to operate, pump 3 will initiate operation. Pump 3 will generate approximately as much flow as pump 1 and 2 combined. When the DPS staff arrived on site, none of the 3 pumps were operating. But there was electricity in the pump station, and the breaker for all 3 pumps was not tripped. Myself, I contacted an electrician at 5:25 a.m. to see if there was a problem with the electrical feed from DTE. I simultaneously, at 5:47 a.m., contacted DTE. DTE switched, let me back up for 1 second. That particular pump station has 2 primary feeds. Primary feed 1, primary feed 2. And if we lose one of the feeds, DT can come in and physically switch us from feed 1 to feed 2. DT switched the primary electrical feed from primary source number 1 to primary source number 2. This resulted in no change, and the pump still had no power to them, and pumping did not occur. The generator did not start because there was electricity in the building. All the lights and everything were lit up. But the power is not going to the 3 pumps. At approximately 6:30 a.m., after exhausting all options, the electrician found a reset button, which is not labeled, on the exterior of the panel. The reset all 3 pumps. Upon the reset occurring, the 3 pumps became operational and substantially lowered the water levels in the EPS well. Upon unaware of the control, it should have been noted that the EPS is the only was built from the early 1940s, and the control panel been operated on instructional knowledge or institutional knowledge, and the situation has never occurred previously. We were currently investigating with a new pump company if something in the power source from DTE could have caused a situation where the breakers were not tripped, but some power issues caused the need for the pumps to be reset. So we don't know what has caused that, and we're still investigating that. The retention basin, the RTB, contains 6 pumps and is designed to operate with 5 pumps and the 6th pump being an extra emergency standby pump. Subsequent starting with pump number 1 and then as a lead pump and engaging pumps number 1 through 5, and number 6 being a standby pump. The next event, pump number 2, is a lead pump and engaging the pumps 2 through 1. With pumps number 6 as a standby, the standby would have been installed manually into the pumping sequence. The city contacted the current pump supplying company to say that pump 1 and 4 need to be serviced and were not operating correctly. So we had them meet us there also that morning. The pumps were removed and taken to the pump supplier to have the maintenance performed and were brought back to the RTB. The morning of January 26th, pump supplier was on site because pump number 3 was not operating, and as a result, there were 4 pumps, pumps 1, 2, 4, and 5, instead of 5 operating to dewater the collection system of the RTB wet well. The technician on site placed pump number 6 into sequence operation and the other 4, but could not get pump number 3 to operate. Once the 5 pumps, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 were operating, the RTB wet well level began lowering to normal levels. We're investigating whether the miswiring occurred with pump number 3, resulting in a control panel thinking that the pump was operating, therefore working correctly with 5 pumps. The event at the EPS and RTB resulted prevented the conveyance system from adequately removing excess flow from the sanitary system. It is believed that the RTB reached in a backwater condition that when the EPS pumps were operational, caused water hammer, which kicked some of the manhole covers off to the side and created some surface flooding. That's as far as I've been able to take it so far. We've got other avenues that we're looking at, but it resulted in, to my knowledge, approximately 174 basements to back up.
Thank you. I'd like to have our city attorney also put a comment on.
Mayor and council, you received the benefit of correspondence I also attached, and the city has no concern in releasing the information here preliminarily. The city's always taken the front lead in the floods, and you know there's been at least 7 floods in my experience here representing the community, and the city, when the city's been found at fault, the city has stepped up to the plate and paid, like it did in the case you settled 3 weeks ago today, which was a flooding through many communities. Some of the same problems, some of the burden was shared by utility companies, by other communities, and that's what the correspondence indicates here, because those of you who also on this dais and your family members who were affected by that 194 families that were flooded, some of you people sitting up here had a couple of feet of water in your basement. You know how invasive, how intrusive it is, but the city has never made excuses. The city points out what it finds and assists in the indication as to where it goes. And certainly council knows that this is like the ads on TV for auto accidents and slips and falls. Presumably someone's going to sue someone at some point, and the city has. As you know, in the past, those of you who've been here long enough, like Mayor Higgins, know that we've brought in engineering firms. We brought in DTE on the Great Good Friday settlement about 20 years ago, where they paid substantially for the damage at the retention basin. The city spent millions of dollars putting that facility in floating bonds. I think it was $38 million at the initial construction cost. These things still happen. The rain comes and nothing is resolved. But the city, as you will see in the memorandum, the city steps up and indicates that if there is responsibility on the city's part, the city accepts it. The statutes indicate that. The case law indicates that. If there are other parties, we're going to pursue it. But to expect an answer, and I don't know if council does today, 2 weeks and 3 days from the flooding, there certainly is no answer, because there's much more involved. And when you look at the findings that evening and the fact that they were there 7 hours before the intrusion and the invasion into the homes occurred, the city was on top ahead of time, and that is one of the standards that's utilized here, was the city aware of a problem and attempting to resolve it. Where it goes from there, we'll continue to release the information, and I see nothing here to date, which is why I penned a letterhead and a correspondence to council and to the public, which you should not fear to release to whomever wants it. They sign for it, the city will mail or provide it to you. That indicates where the city goes and where they progress to date. The public has a right to know, because ultimately these settlements get put on the backs of everybody here in the community. So if you find culpable parties, the city will go after the culpable parties, and we've done that before. Plenty of you have the experience to have been through this at least 3 times in the last half decade to know that the city will go after whoever is responsible. So the report's available, I would suggest, because unless any of you have any particularly strong engineering skills, like the old Wade Trim Company or the Hennessy Engineers or someone else, that you avoid any personal comments on as to where you think the liability might be. It's placed in the letter, and I would say also, if you find there's liability, that council, to use that baseball metaphor, step up to the plate and accept that responsibility, but at this point, you don't know. I thank Mr. Kazoo for the time he put in. We were all in correspondence from the time when they first had the notification, when they went to the station at 11:30 at night, and no one likes this. It's the rudest of all types of invasion. It's worse than breaking into your home, to have water and sewage in your basement. And the city has the same compassion, because many of you up here have experienced the same thing 2 weeks and 3 days ago. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. And on behalf of the city, we are sorry this happened to anybody. And I want you to know that you are not alone. There are 2 people who are on the stage right now that were affected by this. 2 former mayors got it. Several commissioners got it. This is not something that happened to just you, but we are very sorry that it did happen. We are not saying it was our fault, but we are saying we are sorry. If anybody has any other questions, we will take questions at the end of the meeting. I'll move on to the mayor's remarks. Now, first thing up, we have, this last weekend, we had the Chocolate Walk, which a DDA event was, I was prepared to talk about how wonderful the event went, and, but then I got something in the mail. We don't often get a whole lot of written mail anymore, but we got something this week, and I'm going to ask the city clerk to read it.
Sir. Hello, all. I attend the Chocolate Walk every year, and this year was outstanding. The businesses were friendly and were active with the participants. Several businesses were very generous with their offerings, including Detroit Salsa Company with samples, Calder's Dairy, the best chocolate milk, Celebrity Silver with a box of chocolates, Mystery Escapes, a cup full of candy, Antique Plaza, a bag of chocolates, and St. Michael's Church with brownies. I enjoyed this year, and seeing other participants seem just as excited and having a fun time. Thank you for planning, organizing, and keeping this event going. Lisa Atkins.
Very nice.
Very nice letter.
If I could have the DDA director and the event coordinator come forward. I want to congratulate them myself personally. Just a fantastic, fantastic thing this weekend. If you could tell me a little bit about this basket before I do the drawing. I know that several of the businesses who took place donated stuff for the basket. And if you could tell me anything about it before I do the drawing.
Of course. So, good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm Brandon Fry. I'm the director of both the DDA and the EDC. And the Chocolate Walk is an event on behalf of both boards that we do every single year. And at its core, the purpose is to put a spotlight on our businesses here in Lincoln Park. And this year, we were fortunate enough to have 20 businesses participate. So, we're very thankful for that. And yeah, as you see in that basket there, all of the donations came from those businesses. And yeah, we're going to have the drawing for the winner just shortly.
All right.
Also, I'd like to thank Stephanie, of course, for helping me put this all together.
Okay.
We look forward to putting on many of these events, many, many more throughout the future.
All right. What'd you say, Quinn?
Queen Mendoza.
And the winner is Quinn Mendoza. Congratulations, Quinn. All right, we will let her know. And again, thanks to the DDA and Stephanie for doing a magnificent job. Thank you. I just heard the reporter up front was asking to know about future events. So I'll let you know that February 27th, there's going to be a State of the City at the Lincoln Park High School. We'll invite you there.
I'd rather have chocolate.
All right. Shot down again. All right, but yeah, and everybody get your calendar out. February 27th will be a State of the City, when we'll talk about the wonderful things going on in our city. There'll be 7 o'clock. 7 o'clock.
And you can come by the band shell on your way to that and vote, because it's the presidential primary on
Also the presidential primary.
27th also, so.
See, the school wasn't being used that day. That's how we got the building, so. Also, February 29th, I'm also throwing another date out for you. Building Department will be having their open meeting to discuss the new ordinance officers' operation and how it works, and that will be at Lafayette School at 7 o'clock again on February 29th. Couple other quick things that happened over the last couple weeks. We had the grand opening for Oviedo's Hair Salon on 3725 Fort Street. Absolutely a beautiful facility. They've done a wonderful job. If you need a haircut, give it a try. It's nice to see new businesses moving into Lincoln Park always. And the last thing I'll mention is I went to a SEMCOG meeting, which is a organization that grants money and other help to cities all over southwestern Michigan. And they've invited us, and we are part of the board, and it was really good. I am going to do a couple quick announcements as well. Very, and we were ready to make these announcements, and then the big flood happened, which is, it's a shame, because we got a $8.5 million grant to work on our water lines. We got a $2 million grant to work on our lead lines. And we also will be approving tonight a grant that will give us the money to fix 7 streets in our DDA area, all at the same time. And I'd like to let everybody know, especially since what John reported tonight, that the pump bids were out already. The bids were already out to replace the pump houses. It's going to happen sooner than later because the bids are already out and coming back. So I want the public to know that. And with that, we will move on to the next agenda, the consent agenda. Okay. Will be the approval of the minutes of the regular meeting of January 22nd, approval of the accounts and claims payable, approve the training for the police department staff and command, approve for training for the police department women in command, and we're going to schedule a hearing for the Dangerous Building Board for 1784 Euclid, 1577 Electric, 986 St. John's, and we're going to set a special meeting, closed session, for collective bargaining.
So move.
Support.
Councilperson Zorn,
Yes.
Dupre,
Yes.
Bear,
Yes.
Ross,
Yes.
Salcido,
Yes.
Tobin,
Yes.
and Mayor Higgins.
Yes. And with that, I'm going to call John back up to the microphone.
Grab one. It's not John. It's Fire Chief.
Good evening, Mayor and Council again.
Wait a minute, John.
One second.
He jumped ahead. It's the Fire Chief.
Oh, I want to stay. Yes, dear.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. The fire department currently contracts transporting services with Lifeline Concord Ambulance LLC, which was entered upon on June 1st, 2021. It is set to expire on May 31st, 2024. After meeting with Lifeline Management, both parties are satisfied with our current working arrangement and would like to extend the contract for 2 additional years. Lifeline Concord Ambulance has done an exceptional job and has met all expectations set forth by the prior agreement by the city. This agreement has been positive mutual arrangement for the city, the fire department, and its citizens. It is beneficial for the city, the fire department, and its citizens to extend the contract for emergency transport services to Lifeline Concord Ambulance. After careful review of the current contract, it is recommended that the mayor and council adopt and propose a resolution to extend the contract to Lifeline Concord Ambulance. There is no budget impact on this for the fire department. Is there any questions?
Well, I have to read the mine, and then we'll come back to you.
Okay.
Okay. Whereas the contract for Lifeline Ambulance to provide transportation services for the Lincoln Park is set to expire on May 31st, 2024 at 12 a.m. And whereas there is an immediate need to secure transportation services to avoid any interruption in EMS services to the citizens of Lincoln Park, and whereas Lifeline Ambulances has agreed to extend the contract for transporting services at a minimum increase to billing for transport services, Now therefore be resolved that Lifeline Concord Ambulance LLC be awarded the extension for EMS transportation ambulance services for the city of Lincoln Park. The contract will commence at 12:01 a.m. on June 1st, 2024, at the termination of the current contract and run through May 31st, 2026 at 12 a.m.
I'll move. Support.
Any questions? And we'll call for the roll.
Councilpersons Ross?
Yes.
Dupre?
Yes.
Bear?
Yes.
Soar?
Yes.
Salcido?
Yes.
Tobin?
Yes.
And Mayor Higgins.
Yes. Okay, John, now you're up.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I think I've been here before. This particular item before you presently is, subject is recommendation of award for DSMI Water Service Material Investigation Contract. Back on January 24th of '24, the City of Lincoln Park opened 3 bids that were received for the DSMI Water Service Material Investigation Project. The project involves investigation of water service material in 3 locations for 377 random houses addresses as required by Eagle. The bids received are as follows. Super Construction LLC, $248,200. Dukes DBM Underground Infrastructure Services, $347,364. And ML Charter Excavating, Inc., $356,563.70. Based on the outcome of the bids and the contractor's experience with similar projects, it is recommended that City of Lincoln Park award the project to Super Construction LLC. Financial impact, the project costs plus 10% contingency per the requirements of the DWAM program comes to a total of $273,020, covered under the Eagle DSMI grant. Recommendation is to recommend that Mayor and Council award the DSMI Water Service Material Investigation Contract to Super Construction LLC. I've attached a resolution. Be it resolved that the Mayor and City Council award the DSMI Water Service Material Investigation Contract to Super Construction LLC. The total cost of the project is $273,020. This includes 10% contingency and is covered under the DSMI grant from the state of Michigan.
And I'll move on that.
I'll support.
Any questions?
Through the chair, Your Honor.
Yes.
Hey, John, I read this several times, but can you explain, not only to me, but to the residents, investigation of the water service material? Can you briefly explain that?
Yes.
And have the 377 homes been identified?
Number one, this investigation is required by Eagle, or the state of Michigan. What is done is the addresses are put into the computer and selected by the computer. And what we have to do is, this is what they call a random sampling. You have to go into the home and verify what the material is on the inside of the home. And what we're basically looking for is, we're looking for the dreaded lead. And then out by what we call the curb stop box, you might have seen there's a circular cover, usually in your lawn, about a foot above the sidewalk. And then we're going to also dig a hole by the curb. And we have to check to make sure that that location, does it or does it not have a lead service? And if it has a lead service, we're required by the state of Michigan, Eagle, to replace that lead service to copper service at no cost to the homeowners.
Follow up, Your Honor, if you don't mind. So I know, for instance, my house has lead, but doesn't the city know what homes have lead piping instead of randomly picking them out? Or they're going to pick out the lead homes?
Well, we believe the answer is yes. At the DPS, we have approximately 14,000 of 3x5 cards that when the community was built back in the 20s, 30s, 40s, and 50s. On these, I'm going to call them postcards, it has the address, and most of them have what product it is, whether it's lead, copper, or galvanized. And as far as the state of Michigan is concerned, if those 3x5 cards were initiated or took place or scribed before 1964, they won't accept that.
Thank you very much.
Any questions?
Through the chair?
Yes.
John, help me understand how this is, I guess, efficient, doing it randomly. When, because I'm thinking, in all honesty, I'm thinking like DTE, when they moved all the gas meters outside, they did it block by block, right? So why would they choose to go randomly?
I wish I had a real good answer for you, because what we did is we went through all those cards and we initiated a list. And some of the cards didn't have a product on them, whether it was lead or copper. And we created a map. And I kind of like the idea of going right down the block. That way anybody on the block can see what's coming down the roadway. But that is not acceptable by the state of Michigan. It is unacceptable by Eagle. And if we want their grant, their money to help replace this, we have to follow their rules.
Okay,
I don't know if that was a good answer or not, but that's all I've got.
thank you. I appreciate it.
Any other questions? Okay, we will call for the vote.
Mayor Higgins?
Yes.
Councilpersons Tobin?
Yes.
Bear?
Yes.
Dupre?
Yes.
Ross?
Yes.
Salcido?
Yes.
And Zor.
Yes. Okay, the next up,
My next item is the grant that the mayor has already talked about, doing some road removal and replacement in the DDA area. Those roadways are on one end, Fort Street, and the other end, Fort Park. And those streets are Hanford, Keppen, Russell, Euclid, O'Connor, Warwick, and Arlington, AKA a good majority of the DDA area. This grant, I thought, was going to be simply a bituminous overlay, but it's a total removal and replacement, which is better. So we have to, again, agree to a contract with Michigan Department of Transportation, and that you have a copy of that contract. So I prepared a resolution, be it resolved that the mayor and council approve the MDOT contract number 24-5064 for the legislative earmark grant to repair 7 roads in the downtown area by reference. Be it further resolved that the mayor and clerk are authorized to sign the agreement, and that the DPS director, John Kazoo, be appointed as the designated representative to facilitate coordination with earmark program.
I'll move with the question.
Support.
okay. I believe Maureen had a question.
Yeah, it says repair here.
It should be, that was found after I read into the contract deeper, because initially the grant was put in for a resurfacing,
Okay.
but it's going to be a total
Can we
removal or
amend this to say
replacement.
replace?
Please, definitely.
Thank you. And can I say, whoop, whoop, whoop?
This is something we've been
Because I'm
working on
ecstatic.
for a long time.
Yes.
All right. And no other questions, we will
Through the
call for the
chair.
vote. Oh, go ahead.
Sorry.
Go ahead, Councilman.
John, does that change the money, the total that we're going to get if we're doing the total reconstruction?
No,
That-
we'll get that money.
Okay,
And I think it's a better opportunity for the city to do a total removal than, what I want to say, a mill and fill. It'll be longer lasting.
absolutely. Thank you.
And well needed.
Call for the vote.
Now we can call for the vote.
Okay. Councilpersons Tobin?
Yay.
Yes.
Dupre?
Yes.
Bear?
Yes.
Ross?
Yes.
Salcido?
Yes.
Zor?
Yes.
And Mayor Higgins.
Yes.
Thank you, Mayor and Council.
We have added to our agenda, the city attorney has brought something forward.
Want me to speak, Mayor?
Yes.
This involves one of the many opioid litigations that the city's participating in with the attorneys general. across the United States and other local communities. This involves a company out of Ireland that was one of the first to settle and then filed bankruptcy. Bankruptcy court case has been ongoing, and in order to reach a resolution with the non-public parties, which means cities, states, hospitals, fire departments, police departments, anyone who joined in, the other parties are going to take less but get their money sooner. These are the private individuals. The bankruptcy committee and the bankruptcy court trustee have approved this and recommend that the council vote on it. The city is involved in 3 particular venues, one the city itself, one the city from a public safety standpoint, and one for the opioid litigation. For the Department of Parks and Recreation that we sandwiched in the litigation because of the problems in the parks, the problems of cleanup, the problems of maintenance, the problems of response for emergency response. Council has 2 options. You pay to send counsel to the Southern District in New York to enter this on the record, or we vote electronically, which is what I'm asking for. The vote must be in by the 22nd. I'm sorry you got it so late. We got it Friday, reviewed it, recommend you approve it. The other communities that have been as fortunate as Lincoln Park to be in on the settlement, and some communities opted out. In fact, some council members, remember that some council members were reluctant to get into litigation. There'll be, over the period of years, hundreds of thousands of dollars remitted back to the community for costs of public service and maintenance. This is the first step. The share that's guaranteed is not in the report. It's a lengthy report. If that wasn't enough you got today, I have 40 more pages here for you to read. However, we will not know for some time, but if you accept this, the city will get a greater share, and it's guaranteed it won't be dischargeable by bankruptcy. So we'd ask you to approve the settlement. We'll cast a vote yes 3 times for the city, electronically or by mail.
I'll move.
I'll support.
Wait, didn't have a resolution yet.
Oh, you got to read it.
Have to read the resolution.
Oh, that's right.
All right. Resolved that the City of Lincoln Park, Michigan approves the interim resolution of the private claims by accepting the plan and appoint the chairperson as a special proxy to vote in favor of the scheme at the relevant scheme meeting and any adjustment therefore in case number 22-22549, JLG, United States Bankruptcy, Southern District of New York, in re-and-do International PLC, etc. debatos.
I'll move.
Support.
That was in Irish, by the way.
Yeah.
It'll sound good.
Okay,
Questions?
any questions? We will call for the vote.
Councilpersons Dupre, Tobin,
Yes.
Bear,
Yes.
Ross.
Yes.
Salcido.
Yes.
Zor,
Yes.
and Mayor Higgins.
Yes. Our intern city manager is enjoying a vacation this week, so we are going to skip the city manager's report and wish her fun. And we're going to go to the department head, which is the Parks and Recreation this week.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Just have a couple of items since last time we talked. As for programming in the department, our numbers are showing that we're up from last year's enrollment in all of our classes by approximately 4 to 5%, depending on the class. We're going to have a new spring break camp that we're doing. It's a STEM camp running March 25th through the 29th, and you can register for that online on our website. At the community center, we're also seeing an uptick in the ice rentals this season. A lot of the associations have picked up a lot more teams this year, so we're seeing a lot of people hitting the ice this year. Coming up, we're slowly approaching our end of the season at the rink, so that means the 48th Annual Festival on Ice is right around the corner, and that's going to be on May 3rd, 4th, and 5th. The tickets will be going on sale April 1st. For that, you can check Skate Company's website. They do it all electronically now, and that website's skatecompanyskatingclub.com. We've done a couple of trainings. Myself, I'm still working my way through the modules with the online training for the Certified Parks and Recreation Professional Certification, and I will be signing up for the test here shortly, so let's all cross our fingers. Stephanie here just attended the event management school through the National Recreation and Parks Association. She'll give you a little bit of an update on what she went through at that class here in a minute. And the arena staff, including myself, will be attending again the North American Rink Conference and Expo in Milwaukee this year, the week of May 20th. One of the guys will be finishing out his Certified Ice Technician certification, so he will be certified with the North American Rink Conference and the NHL. And I will be recertifying for my third time, so. Upcoming events, I will now turn that over to Stephanie for that.
Right. A little short. Oh, I could just, oh, look at that. Hi, Mayor and Council. For those of you who haven't met me, I'm Stephanie. I'm the Parks and Rec Event Coordinator. Nice to meet all you guys. So talking about events, the Daddy-Daughter Dance was last Saturday. Great turnout. We had 92 people. Really fun. All the girls and their dads are looking forward to next year. We already talked about the Spring Break Camp. April 13th, we're having a family carnival day at the band shell. Just we're going to stack the room A full of carnival games. Have pizza, pop, water. Should be a fun time. Spring Summer Happenings, we're going to start working on that in March to get ready to go out to houses in April. Summer concerts, all booked for this year, and you'll see that line up in the Spring Summer Happenings. The Spring Fling Carnival, we're going to be doing that again with Elliott's Amusements at the Community Center for May 23rd to June 2nd, including a Memorial Day. Cruising Down River, doing that again, June 28th and June 29th this year. This year we're going to be having a car show, so if anyone's interested in showing a classic car, free to enter at the band show for a $10 entry fee. Art in the Park is going to be July 19th and 20th. We're accepting artist and vendor applications for that right now, and this time we're now accepting youth applications for youth artists from 5th to 12th grade who would like to sell their work for a lower fee, a lower entry fee. I attended the event management school training at Olga Bay in West Virginia, up in the mountains. Never been there before, my ears popped. Fun time, though, to get my CFEA certification, which is Certified Festival and Event Associate. So when I go back next year, I will have that certification. I'm very excited. Any questions? Nope, good, cool. Good talk.
All right. And lastly, the Parks and Rec Commission has one seat left on it. So if we have anybody that's looking to be on the Parks and Rec Commission and help out, you can go to the city's website, citylp.com, and find the application online. You can fill it out right there, and someone will get right back with you as soon as they receive it. And that, I believe, is all I have for right now.
With that, I'm going to step in and I'm going to remind citizens at home, we have several commissions that have openings. The commissions are the backbone of the city. We need some volunteers to fill in. I believe we have some in Building Department, we have some in Parks and Rec, some in our DDA has an opening. We need people to step forward and be part of the solutions in Lincoln Park. Thank you. Now, if there's any questions for our Parks and Rec.
Not so much a question as a comment.
Okay.
Dennis, thank you for a wonderful job, you and Stephanie. I took a glance at the department's website page, and
Yes.
everything is updated. So I can see the current happenings. It looks great.
Thank you. I went to look for something one day and realized we hadn't updated that page in probably 6-9 months. So
It looks
Stephanie's been working on it, I've been working on it, Austin's been working on it. We're all trying to update that website so it's got the current information on there. If we have the website, let's utilize it, let's get the information out there.
Absolutely, and I love that you put the link on there to the Facebook page, too. Very good. That's all, Your Honor.
Okay, anybody else have anything for our Parks and Rec Director? Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Okay, we're going to go to citizen comments. I'd like to remind anybody, they step up, we have 3 minutes and must stay on city business.
5.
I was cutting lower because we have a crowd tonight.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Richard Kudrak. I was going to talk about infrastructure. I think that's going to be covered as soon as I sit down. Let's talk about city manager. The salary for city manager years ago was $85,000. Then we have emergency manager Bradley Coulter gave Matthew Koppler, $120,000. About a 50% increase, pretty nice. When I found out Mr. Krazan was leaving, I looked up his contract. His was $105,000. I had absolutely no idea what you offered the new candidates for the city manager until last meeting, when the woman who ran the thing said, "Oh, you offered $140,000 for a city manager." I don't believe you offered $140,000 to Mr. Krazan. I don't believe you offered $140,000 to the finance director, who may or may not want that job, but it wasn't offered to them. So anyway, you offer $140,000, and she stands at this podium and says, "That's not enough. You got to raise that to $150 or $160. And I'm thinking, wait a minute. You're the one who scheduled all these people to come here. They knew the salary was $140,000. What in the world did she schedule anybody to come here who was unwilling to accept that salary, which was published and they all knew? So to stand at this podium and say, "Oh, Lincoln Park, you're not being realistic. You need to go $150,000 or $160,000. So all of the candidates you've interviewed, they're done. Now you got to start all over. And you still have that woman saying, $140,000, not going to cut it. I don't know what in the world is going on with a city manager job seeking, but that's unacceptable. That's all I can say. That's a ridiculous amount of money to have her say, "That's not near enough. Reevaluate your proposal." Thank you so much.
Thank you. Of the young lady up front.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Annie Chapakowalski, and I'm addressing you today due to the reoccurring and pressing issue that has greatly affected my family and me. My basement has flooded for the 12th time, and unfortunately, I'm not alone in facing this issue. I'm fully aware that numerous residents in Lincoln Park have experienced similar challenges in recent weeks. Having purchased my home 11 years ago, I have encountered 12 instances of flooding during this period. 7 of these incidents have resulted in significant damage to our basement, causing structural issues and loss of personal belongings. The severity of these floods is alarming, with water levels reaching several feet, including the latest flood that reached close to 4 feet. The problem is that each flood involves sewage water, necessitating the disposal of all affected items, and hiring professional disinfectant services, incurring substantial expenses. Over the last decade, my family has suffered losses exceeding $60,000 in personal belongings, not accounting for the additional cost of replacing the furnace and water tank twice, as well as going through 5 sets of washers and dryers. Despite filling out paperwork with the city in the past, I've received no response, leaving me feeling defeated and disappointed. As a lifelong resident of Lincoln Park and member of our school board, I hold a deep love for my city and home. However, the latest flood, my husband and I contemplating putting our home up for sale. It is disheartening that nobody seems to be held accountable for the reoccurring damages we have experienced. I possess documentation including photos and videos of every flooding incident and damage to my basement. I'm well aware that everybody flooded, or there was quite a few residents that flooded this time, but this is my 12th time. My concern extends beyond the immediate financial impact. I fear potential hidden damages that may affect the resale value of our home when it undergoes inspection. I understand the complexity of such issues, but if prompt and effective measures are not taken, I may have no choice but to pursue legal action. I urge you to address this matter urgently to prevent further damage and distress to the residents who love and cherish our city. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you. Anybody else like to talk to the city?
Hello, my name's Debbie White. We moved to Lincoln Park in 2015, flooded out in 2016. No result. Dom and me put our house back together. What happens? We get flooded out again with 2 foot of water and a 1,665 square foot basement, 202 foot of water. A washer, dryer, refrigerator, freezer, stove, kitchen cabinets, all floating. What does the city do? I would like to put my house up for sale. I would like the city to buy it at market value because I am not going to get my value out of my house. Who wants to move into a city with a history of flooding? Can't the city of Lincoln Park do backflows in the houses? Southgate did that. What is going to be the result? They fixed our street, and they said my basement was lower than the water basin. They fixed the street last 2022. Replaced the street, worked on the sewer line. And I did everything in my basement. I put French drains in, I put a sump pump in. And they told me, those are not going to help if it comes up the sewer. What happened on January 26th? It came up the sewer. Now, I'm SOL again, and our insurance doesn't want to pay. You know, you keep making claims, what are you going to do? Where are we at? How can we help? How can we do it? You say you got this big grant? Well, buy my home. I would like to move out of Lincoln Park. Buy my home at market value because you're not fixing the infrastructure. Thank you.
Is there anybody else who would like to come before the council?
Hello, thank you for this opportunity to come up here and speak. I wish I could be a little more eloquent like some others, but I'm struggling to find the words. I've lived in Lincoln Park for 10 years now. Have a family here, a son that will be 10 soon, born in the house that we're in, a daughter that's 8, and on the 26th of January, having to wake them up before taking them to school to explain that all of their belongings that they had in our basement were floating and needed to be disposed of due to the Category 3 sewage water flowing through our basement was one of the harder things I've had to do as a dad. And that includes telling both my kids within the past 6 months that 2 of their great-grandparents have passed away. I'll never forget the tears and the sobbing of my daughter that entire day. Had to pick her up from school that day and bring her home just because of how inconsolable she was. And our constant reminder to her was that they're just things. And it is true, they are just things. But things have value and memories and meaning. And for the 10 years that I've lived in this city with my family, we've had nothing but basement issues. We saved for years, and in 2017, were able to save enough money to have a contractor come and fully redo our basement, fully complete our basement. Drywall, carpet, cabinets, an entertainment center, TVs, a bed to stay in for sleepovers and different things like that. 2 Fridays ago on the 26th, I drug 95% of those things to my curb for the 3rd or 4th time since we've lived here. I appreciate the report. I appreciate the investigation that's happening. I'm very frustrated at the lack of response. One of the things I'm hearing is that we were testing, we were checking, we were out, we were doing our job. Well, one of the things that I've not heard anyone say tonight is the communication. I was up that night. I was up very early in the morning. People that came to my house and in my neighborhood, public works workers, already confirmed what John said tonight. The pumps weren't working. That wasn't in question. I knew that morning at 8 a.m. when I talked to the staff. The frustration of not knowing. If you guys knew that something was happening, there was a failure, pumps weren't working, why does the city not communicate that? Where is the notifications, an emergency notification? I'm sure plenty of us would not have minded waking up at 11 o'clock with an impending pump failure and start taking things out of our basement. I would have loved to have saved thousands of dollars of contents. I would have lost the drywall. I would have lost the carpet. That's okay. But all of the Christmas gifts, all the sentimental things to my family, that stuff could have been saved. And the lack of communication is unacceptable across the board, especially when a failure is known. Completely unacceptable. I'm looking at my water bill here. I did some quick math. I was able to find, there's somewhere between, from what I can find, 14 to 16,000 homes in the city. I rounded it to 15 to be fair. $1.5 million a year for capital improvement the city brings in based on my water bill, which I would assume is about an average water bill for quarterly. What was the $1.5 million going to last year or the year before? Where is the accountability? Sewer improvement, $163,000 last year. What was improved that helped water not go through our basements? $6.25 million in general just for a sewer charge, which is more than the water charges. What was improved with the $6.25 million? Is it just basic maintenance? What is happening? There has to be accountability here. Like she said, people are considering. The first conversation I had with my wife that morning is this it? Do we move? Do we sell our house? Do we try to piece things together as best we can here and sell it at a loss or sell it for less than what it's worth just to not have to deal with this again? To not have the health risks of having to work in that? I'm fortunate to work in the restoration industry. I had a team from my company come out and do a lot of the mitigation and cleanup. Those bills are thousands of dollars. That cleanup should be handled by professionals. The majority of folks in the city probably don't have coverage to cover those costs, yet alone deal with repairs or even get into contents. I don't know what the answer is, but I know for a fact that I'm going to be here every meeting going forward. This is my first ever city council meeting. I will be here at every meeting. I will be hunting down answers until we have a resolution and it's fixed. And I expect that the people on this council and the mayor, I will say one thing, Mayor, you were the only person from the city that responded to me in a timely fashion this whole time. No one responded to me that day. No one called me back that day. There was barely anything posted on social media, their website about things happened until days and days later. The communication is unacceptable, but thank you for at least responding to me and directing me to the right path. I'm praying that you guys investigate and that you find out what happened, that you are true to your word, like the attorney said, that you will resolve and help us repair if you are found at fault. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else who would like to talk to the council?
I just want to follow up a little bit on what he said about the accountability and about the city's fault and about communication. Because we had city workers in front of our house. The water started coming up in front of our house. We noticed it coming out of the basement sewers probably about 4 a.m. We had city workers out in front of our house after calling them probably about 8:30, 9 o'clock, still trying to tell us that everything was working, that the pumps had been working the whole entire time, and that there was just too much water, which, as we all see now here, that was a lie. They were not working. We also can hear the pumps. When they start running, we can hear them from our yard. When they kick on, we can hear them. Those pumps did not kick on and start running until after 11:30. And I have photos of that water still coming through my drains at like 11:30, quarter to 12, where it's still coming out. And once the pumps kicked on and we heard them kick on, all of a sudden the water started to recede. So that those pumps were pumping that water out at 5:30 that's BS. So the accountability is on the city. And I'm sorry, there was a reset button that you could have pushed to stop all of this, but it's not your fault? I'm sorry, anybody else who had a job, if there was a reset button to push that could have saved all of us people from losing everything, they'd be fired. So it is your fault.
Is there anybody else who would like to speak to the council? Okay. With that, we will go to all reports of the council, and we'll start with our council president.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to add a couple things here in regards to some of our city businesses that I've been to in the last 2 weeks. Once again, Los Chatos Restaurant on Dixon Goddard, Flowers by Ed Lobb, I was over there the other day, Raise the Bar Gym on Fort Street. They actually offer discounts for city workers and city employees, so I upped up my membership there, so please check that out. Raise the Bar Gym on Fort Street near Southfield. The Park Restaurant, was there a couple times in the past 2 weeks. Vito's Italian Restaurant on Fort Street, once again, one of my main stops. And also Chesley's Bar and Grill, I want to thank them. They also helped out on a fundraiser for our local. So that's all I have, Your Honor. Thank you.
Thank you. Tracy?
I wanted to remind people that we have a jaywalking ordinance in the city, and folks should not meander in the streets causing possible accidents and injuries. This is something that I really wasn't that much aware of through the city, but it is there and it needs to be followed. Otherwise, everyone else enjoy the beautiful weather we've been having. Good night and God bless.
I want to say thank you to everybody that reached out to me after my surgery. I am still gimping along, but I'm doing real well. Everybody's been very kind, and I thank you greatly. I also want to say I am sorry to everybody that lost anything at this occurrence of this flooding. I had backup also, and I understand how tough it is, and my heart goes out to every one of you, and hopefully we can find some way to resolve this. Just know that we are thinking of you, and we are very sorry. Everybody stay safe. I hope you enjoyed the nice weather that we just recently had, and please don't lose faith in us. We're trying. We'll find some kind of resolution for this. Everybody stay safe, and please don't give up. Thank you.
Councilman Ross.
Thank you, Your Honor. If I could just remind those who are interested in signing their kids up for the Little League, there is one more sign up, February the 17th from 12 to 4, and the sign-ups are located at the Downriver Christian Church in their basement. And if you could save the date of April the 25th, that is the annual museum's dinner. This year, Mr. Bill Morrison will be the guest speaker. You can get more information from their website at www.lphistorical.org, or you can call the museum at 313-386-3137. The dinner, we already know that the tickets are going to run $15 for members and their guests, and non-members will be $20 a ticket. But it sounds like it's going to be a great time. Jeff always does a wonderful job.
Yes, he does.
And the programs, the Wednesday evening programs at the museum are back. The next one will be Wednesday, March 13th at 7 p.m., and the presentation will be by our museum curator, offering a background on the city's 100-year anniversary coming up in 2025. And then there's more to come. Again, this information is in the newsletter, and you can get that on their website. There's all kinds of good stuff in here. Keep your happenings handy. And again, if you don't have a copy, you can get one right off of the Parks and Rec page on our website. It's right there. And that's all I have. Thank you, Your Honor.
Councilman Jason.
Hi, I would just once again like to compliment our event coordinator, Stephanie, for the job that she and Brandon with the DDA did with the Chocolate Walk this past weekend. I did participate again, and it is always a great time. And also, I know the mayor touched on this in the very beginning, but the revamped ordinance department through the building department had their first public meeting last week, I believe, at Rupp School, and we're hoping to just continue to build the audience for that. This is a really big undertaking. We have, as I believe has been mentioned, about 14,000 residential parcels and 3,000 business parcels. This is a big transition in our ordinance department, where we're trying to go from being a reactive complaint-based department to a proactive program. And it is a great way for the public to come and hear about this program and see where the city wants to go. The next meeting is February 29th, Thursday at Lafayette High School from 6 to 8. The guiding principle of this entire program is just to have consistency that produces excellent expectations and predictable applications of our ordinance. It's only been kicked off for about a little more than 6 months, and it can have very far-reaching effects in the city. And I would certainly encourage residents of not just the Lafayette High School neighborhood, but throughout Lincoln Park, to come and see what our new revamped ordinance department is doing. And that's all. Thank you.
Alfonso Orr.
Yes, first thing I'd like to say is to the residents, as a new official, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for the lack of communication. I tried to communicate when transparency isn't as good as it should be. I had nothing to report. I had nothing to call, nothing to say, because I knew nothing. So, and with that, I'd like to say, if somebody wants to start a review board and have ideas in that can help me communicate, I'd be happy to sit in on anything if a board comes up. Just wanted to throw that out there. Also wanted to say condolences to the Kramer family. Wayne Kramer passed away last week from the band the MC5. They started their career in Lincoln Park, and I thought that should be noted. Thank you.
Thank you. Couple of things that were mentioned tonight, and again, apology to everyone who had to suffer through this. Shouldn't be. As was mentioned earlier, our city is old, and we have a lot of old equipment, and we are in the process of updating. We have bids out right now to replace the pump stations, and I want to say that again and again, they're going to be replaced. And as I said earlier, we had some major grants that are going to help us in our water and sewage. Help is coming. It didn't.
Did it actually help us this time, though? We've been hearing this since 2019.
I can only.
It is the same blocks, the same houses, so obviously you have to kind of know where the problem is.
Okay, ma'am, you're out of order. I can't, I'm not going to answer you from the chair. I'll talk to you after the meeting if you want. I cannot answer you from the chair, though. All right? Just, it's not done. I'm sorry. You're absolutely correct. You should have gotten some kind of a warning in the middle of the night. The city has just signed up, and I believe within the last couple months, with a new emergency on a system called Code Red. And I'm going to ask again and remind everybody, you can sign up on our line so that you can be in case of an emergency. This is how the city contacts the citizens and lets people know when there is an emergency going on. The system works. I get it on a pretty regular basis. And I'm going to encourage everybody to join Code Red. Again, the city did not get this bad of shape as far as our older equipment overnight, and it's not going to happen overnight, that it's all going to be repaired, but it is happening. We got grants, we are working forward, and I promise you, it's coming. I can't speak for what's happened in the past. I can speak for what's happening now. And with that, I will call for adjournment.
So moved.
Support.
Councilperson Salcido?
Yes.
Dupre?
Yes.
Bear?
Yes.
Ross?
Yes.
Zor?
Yes.
Tobin?
Yes.
And Mayor Higgins.